All right. So few thing about the tool, the last few classes that we spent on learning about QA as a fundamental, what do we do as a QA person? What kind of tests do we do? And we still have a lot more subjects to dive into. For example, how do we create those documentation that we talked about? STLC, first you do requirement analysis. After that, you go ahead and write your test plan. And after that, you write your test scenario. Then you write your test cases, and then you execute the test case, find a bug, and then you go through the entire bug life cycle, right? And we haven't really covered how to write a test case. We haven't really covered how to write test scenario, and we will do that because there are a few things we have to get out of the way before we can dive into those documentation that we will learn to create. So, and one of the item is JIRA, because before you even write a test plan, test case, test scenario, you have to have requirements, right? The user story, if you guys remember. And now we're going to learn how to create the user story ourselves. And we're going to learn how to create a bug. And then from there on, we're going to then create test cases, test plan, and all of that good stuff, right? So today's topic is, if we can just cover JIRA and give you guys an overview on how to use JIRA, that would be the goal for today's class. Okay, so I do have a lot of email addresses here, so I'm going to start sending you guys the email. And so it's going to take me maybe a few minutes here. In the meantime, I can answer questions like, what is JIRA? Why do we even need JIRA? So imagine that you get assignments every day, all right? And only if there is a way you can track that assignment. For example, who was it assigned to before me? How much time is going to take to do that assignments? And when was the date first the assignment was issued? And any histories like screenshots or anything like that. And what is the priority of that assignment? What is the deadline for that assignment, right? So now simply, let's say in your workplace, they send you an Excel sheet. Okay, here is an assignment, finish it. It's missing all of that details that you may be able to use. And that's why we're going to use JIRA as a tool. Most of the companies, and chances of you using JIRA into the company that you'll be working after getting the job is pretty much 90, almost close to 95%. But even if you don't use JIRA, you're going to be using something similar. And if it's something similar, that means if you learn JIRA, you're going to be able to learn that specific tool as well. So everybody here should get an invite. You may not get you're going to get a user invite, right? I'm not going to make you an admin just yet. And I'll make you guys an admin maybe at the last minute when we finish with some of the class assignment. Let's see. All right. I don't think I missed anybody so far. Okay. All right. So far I added 13 total, right? And I can give you guys an idea who signed up and who didn't sign up. So that's something that I can control from here.
Oh, sir, I still haven't.
I didn't get it.
Okay. Just find your name here and let me know.
I didn't get it either.
For Zubair, I didn't get it.
The thing is, while you were copy and pasting those things, it says something went wrong and try it again. I don't know if you've seen those messages, those coming up
really
on the side.
Oh, 1 second. Let's see. I'm going to try to send it to Zubair first. Let's see. Okay. Invite user. Okay, so Zubair should have it by now. Let me know if you can confirm.
Yes, sir, I got it.
Okay, good.
I didn't get it. I'm gonna double check again.
Okay. Yeah, check your junk mail also because
I didn't get it, Jill.
okay, let me check. Shimon, I sent to you maybe like earlier, so check your junk mail, but also I'll send you again.
Okay.
I didn't get myself. Gulam
Okay, let's see. Okay, and then Jean, you didn't get it? I just sent to you like a second ago.
I didn't get that either.
Okay. Yeah, it's probably because it went to the junk mail. So in the meantime, check your junk. Let's see. All right, Hussein, I'm gonna send you now. Let's see. Okay, it's not there. Invite.
I
Hello.
got it. So do we have to sign up with our email and ID and password? We have to create a password.
Yeah, create a password because even if you, so when you first join a company, they're gonna send the same exact email. Your boss is gonna send an email saying, hey, did you get it? And you're gonna say, okay, sure, I got it. And then you're going to sign up. After signing up, you're gonna see all the assignments under you if they give you an assignment. Okay, let's see.
Hello.
I got it.
Okay,
I did not. My voice.
it's okay. We're gonna go through this as much as fast. Okay, something went wrong. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's for.
Should we
maybe-
answer the personal questions that they're asking? To
Um,
personalize your.
Yeah, it's up to you. This is just for them to collect. They're
Hello?
collecting for marketing purposes. That's it.
I didn't get it. It's Chankulita.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Just go ahead and post your email here. If you didn't get it. So I got 17 people so far. So
I didn't
Thank
get my name in that.
you can update your name after logging in. Sure, I've got it. Okay. Okay, let's see if Tamim got it. Okay, you got it. Okay. I'm just going through the email one more time just to make sure that everybody got that email.
In case you say my name, Professor, Coach.
1 second. Yeah. What's let's
It's
see.
Maria at Lisa.com.
Okay. Maria. Nope, I don't have you here, so I'm gonna add you.
Okay.
Hi, do you see hasanurun0@gmail.com?
1 second. Yeah, so it seems like the application when we are sending the invite, sometime it fails. So maybe that's why it's not adding. Let's see. Something went wrong. Okay, I'm gonna try one more time. .com invite. Okay, so we're gonna get back to this in about a minute. By that time, I will know for sure how many people don't have it, but I got 19 people that are active, and so we can go from there. So let's see how many people are active. Okay, so these are active. Most of you guys already signed up. So we'll get back to this. Let's start with the class first. And by the time when we
See
do
me
our,
in case. Coach.
what was it?
You see me there in the list, but I don't see any link or anything.
Is this Maria?
Yep.
Right there. Yeah.
Okay.
Can you try my name, Gulam?
Okay, let's see.
GLMAZM.
Okay, let's see. Everybody's here. GLM
GLM AZAM
AZAM
16@gmail.com.
16. Okay, I don't think you're here. I'm gonna add you.
Please. Last class I missed.
Okay, no problem.
Did you see me? hasanurun0@gmail.com.
So can you guys send me your email through the chat? So Golam, if you can send it, that would be great.
I did. Do you see? Did you see?
Okay, Shankalita, you got the email.
Sorry, coach, I have to bother it. So I just sent you another email. Maybe that email is not reaching me. So can you? please-
Okay, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna give you another invite. All right. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that maybe it's going to take 5 or 6 minutes. So in that time, you can check your emails. But for now, I have 20 people. And then whoever's missing, I'll add you guys. Don't worry before we do the class exercise. So let me get started with introduction of this tool. And then yes, just let me know if you're not in there. Okay. So first of all, JIRA is a tool to help you do your work. It's an everyday process. You get tasks, assignments, epics, right? You go through all of that and JIRA is there to help you. JIRA is not like a project or anything. This is not really going to, this is basically managing project related work. And I created few sample project for you guys. So the first thing first, when you log into JIRA, and obviously everything that you see here, this is the same view you will have. This is the most up-to-date version of JIRA. Sometimes companies, they don't update their versions of JIRA, and it takes them a couple of years before they make that kind of move. So in that case, you may see slightly different. Sometimes JIRA, you're going to see the branding. For example, here, it's blue color, and for a specific company, they may change the branding and you may see different colors. So just bear in mind, this is a customizable application. And so let's go over the navigation bars, what you should see and what you should expect. So where it says your work, if you click on it, everything that is assigned to you will show up. So anything that in progress, for example, any of the task assignments that you're working on will show up here. Anything that is assigned to you and you haven't started, but it needs to be done, it'll show up here. And then you have recent. Recent is basically in terms of project, in terms of board, and I'll talk about the board in a bit. And so these are different views that will be available to you as long as you have went and visited and looked into something. So that could be looking into a specific project. As you can see, this is 2 different projects. Actually, this is also a project. This one is also a project. This is sample project. So most of the project that I have visited the last couple of minutes, it's showing up here. And then we have board. Board is basically, each one is a project and they are project board. As you can see, 3 columns. 3 columns means it's a sprint board. And sprint board means that it will give you progress and other information. And we'll go into that. We'll dive into that in more details. But board is just going to give you the project board for one project at a time. So we have 3 projects here. So as you can see, 3 different boards that you can see. And this is coming from your work, right? The next one is project. So when you join a company, you may see the company has hundreds, if not a couple hundreds of projects, right? And it doesn't mean all of the project you have to keep your eyes on. Sometimes they're nice enough to give you access to the project that you belong to, and that's it. So you join a Chase Bank. Chase Bank may have 1,000 projects going on, right? That doesn't mean 1,000 project will show up in your recent and you can go into them whenever you like. It just means is that your project manager will, or your QA manager, or whoever is your manager will be, they will only provide access to the application that you belong to. So for example, Penguin is your team, then you'll be only seeing Penguin. For example, Workbook is your team, then this is where you will be. And that's the only thing that you will see. And here you can create projects. So this view all and create may not be available to you because you're not an admin. So when you join, there is a different kind of access that everybody will get. If you get a tester access, maybe you will only do read only, right? So you'll see it, you will be able to see the requirements, but you are not going to be able to make changes to these requirements. So just keep in mind, this is highly customizable application. So let's go into the filters, and filter is my favorite. And so let's look at that. So sometime your manager will ask you for metrics. They want to know the progress. They want to understand where you are, where the whole team is. So this is more for the leads, right? So if you go into the filter, you are able to create new filters, right? And when you create new filter, you can specify what you want. Excuse me. So if you want to create a filter, I want only stories coming only from this specific project. I want only stories that is bug, right? For example, you're creating a bug report for the whole week. For example, the entire week, how many bugs you guys were able to create. And so your manager says, hey, I want to know how many bugs you guys created the last 2 weeks. Like, oh, sure, no problem. Does it mean you're going to go through the entire last week and ask everybody and things like that? You don't have to do that. All you got to do, choose your project, choose the type. You want bug, epic, whatever you want. And then you want to choose the status, right? So for example, maybe I want done, I want in progress, I want all of it, right? All kind of status. So as you can see, it's showing up as I'm selecting. And then what you want to do, if it's last week, you want to now add the time frame, right? So it could be start time, right? So let me just add, okay, it should be a sprint, probably better. So he's gonna most likely want to say last sprint. So remember that one sprint is equal to 2 weeks, and he wants to ask you guys about that. So now you can specify sprint, like sprint 2, how many bugs? So there is none. It's sprint 1, let's see. And there is none. So none of these bugs were created in sprint 1 and 2. So you can say your sprint pretty much in the sprint 1 and 2, we couldn't catch any bug, or we didn't catch any bug. That means developers were extremely careful, right? So that could be one of the determination. But most importantly, it does have a feature, for example, JQL. So this is the term that you may hear when you work in a team, is that for people that do not have knowledge in JQL, this is called JIRA query language. So JIRA has its own language in order to find issues. So these are issues. And so for normal people who doesn't have this kind of knowledge, they can use the drop down to narrow down to their search, right? For people that already been using JIRA for so long, they can now just use JQL. And this is the advanced feature. Here you just write like a SQL script, what you want, right? You see created, ascending, descending order, in progress. So you can actually first, this is what I usually do. I do my search first, and then I change it to JQL, and then I just go ahead and instead of in progress, I want done, right? Done only. So I'm going to remove in progress, and it's going to show only done, right? And search, and it's going to show me only 2, right? So you can make your changes even after making a specific search. The reason why we use filter is because now that you have this filter and your manager wants this every week, I want to know how many bugs were created the last sprint. You can now export this result and send it to him on his email, or you can share this specific query. You can save it for your coworker. So you can say bug for last sprint, for example. I'm giving a name, and you can name it however you want. So now that you have a name, you can actually take the URL of this filter, and you can share with anybody and say, hey, here is the filter if you want to see more about the bugs. So this is just one way to use filter. We talked about these 2 tabs. So let's go into the dashboard next. The filter can be also, the filter also have pre-written queries. For example, you have my open issue. So anything that is yours, right? What is important to you is that if somebody assigned to you something and you forgot about it, all you got to do is come to my open issues. And if that is assigned to you and it's open and you haven't closed it, it's going to show up here. So you can go ahead and complete that specific task that was assigned to you. Then you have reported by me. So what if you want to show to your boss, like, hey, look, I'm doing excellent job. And you want to send him an email saying, hey, last week I found this many bugs or this many issues, or last week I am working on 10 different issues in JIRA. And just so you know, this is my progress, right? So you can actually go ahead and click on reported by me and then say, okay, these are the bugs that you created. These are the issues that you created, meaning these are the stories that you created. So this will give your manager a real good idea about what you do. But to be honest, your manager doesn't need this from you. They have more access. They have more access in terms of JIRA. They can do all the search. Who's doing well and who's not doing well, they can actually see it through this application. So if they really, really want to see what you've been working on, they can see how many stories assigned to you, how many bugs assigned to you, and they will be using the same exact view, filter view. Instead of, they will choose your project and then they will choose who you are. So assigned, you see, and then they will choose the name of the person that they wanted to see. So just keep in mind that, your manager has the ability to see what kind of work you're doing. And it doesn't mean that there will be a lot of pressure on your shoulder. It just means that they want to provide some sort of help and push to those who may have inactivity during maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Let's 3 weeks goes by, there's no work, you haven't done anything at all. It will give you more stress rather than anybody else, right? Because now you're going to be under stress thinking like, oh, I haven't done nothing, I gotta get going, where to start. So now your manager will say, hey, do you need any help? I do see that nothing was moved from these days to these days. Do you want any help or anything like that? And they will try to help you in terms of getting up to speed. So JIRA is just to basically make you fully engage within your team. And I'll tell you why. This is going to be pretty much self-sufficient, self-service tool for you. And you will pretty much enjoy working with your team because of this tool, right? And now, it doesn't have to be JIRA. It could be another tool that has similar capability, which will give you the ability to fully engage with your team members and be able to do your part. Therefore, you guys meet the common goal as a team member and finish user stories, find bugs, right? The other filters are here as well. And these are pre-written filters that comes with JIRA, and you can always use them as necessary. So just remember what's available to you. This is one of the powerful features that I can think of in JIRA. Next one is dashboard. Dashboard is like, if you want to create your own dashboard, like for example, view all dashboard, I'll go to the default view, and default dashboard is just going to show me like pretty much what are the project that I'm assigned to, any issues that are assigned to me. But what if I want to create my own view? I want to be more efficient at work. I want to be ahead of everybody else. Then you have just the thing here, right? You can click on create a dashboard, and I can say my own private. Nobody's going to see it unless you give them access. So I'm going to give it a name, private board dashboard. And dashboard should give you guys an idea. What is dashboard? It's just a single place where all the different kind of information there to help you learn about yourself, learn about what's there, what kind of activities going on within the JIRA and the project and your project. So now you can say private, right? You don't have to share with anybody else. Click save. Once you have saved, now you can basically add things to it. You can customize your own dashboard to make it more fitted for yourself. So I can add the activity stream. Activity stream is basically anything that I have done in JIRA. It will, I think the last 10 items or 15 items, I believe, it'll show up here. And if I click on show more, it'll show more activities that I have done. Then assigned to me, probably more helpful. I'm going to add that here. And then I have average chart, and I can just rearrange them. Actually, I can just go ahead and make it like this. Let's see, maybe put this in here too. And then I will add a few more, I don't know, bubble chart or something. And I'm going to go ahead and click on done. So once you finish it, you can see that how it's showing up. Let me just refresh. It should populate with data. And this one requires configuration. This one also requires configuration. And so is this one. So all you got to do is configure it to make sure that you're able to see. So for example, you have to apply the filter in terms of the chart that you like to see. And this is more to customize your needs, what you want to see as a team, and what will help you to become more productive. This is like a tool to really help you engage, really help you to understand what's going on. You don't need anybody to come and tell you like, hey, here is an assignment, work on it. You don't need anybody boss you around. You can actually go into your project and say, okay, I need to finish these 2 tasks so I can meet the deadline, and nobody has to say anything to you, right? So this is almost like a self kind of driven tool, self-guided tool for yourself for work. So the next one is people, and we're going to go in deeper after I finish with the dashboard navigation bars. So when you click on people, you can invite teammates. This is the feature that you will not have. This is the feature your manager will have. So when you join, they will click on that and they will then add that specific team member to the specific team. And then you're going to see search people and team. The only thing you may see is this, that you're going to see your team members who belongs to your team. So you can reach out and engage and talk to them to make sure that you can do your job. The last thing is here, we got time tracking. Obviously, some companies are using also like timesheet here. So we can look at that. But there is another app here, and I'm going to probably add this here at the end, is that to create test cases. So remember test case document. So we're probably going to be able to create the test case here as well. And then finally, we have a button. We have a single button after clicking on all of the drop down is create. Now in JIRA, anything that you can create is an issue. Okay. What they're saying is that in JIRA, everything is an issue, meaning if you create a user story, that's an issue. But the type of that issue is user story. If you create a bug, that's still an issue, but the type of that bug is, type of that specific issue is bug, right? Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Any questions so far before I go any further?
So anytime you create, when you press that create button, it's to create another user story to express an issue with the software.
No. So what I'm saying is, in here, right? Let's say I click on create, and I'm a BA. I want to create a user story. This is creating an issue. As you can see, create an issue is classifying all of it as an issue. So I'm saying task, bug, epic, right? Any of these.
Oh, I see. Thank you.
Yeah.
That looks right. Okay.
Yeah. So now the type of issue could be like different. For example, bug, epic, and task, and a story. So we got 4 types that we have to remember. One is a user story. The other one is task. And then we have bug and we have epic. The other thing that you want to also realize here is that when you create an issue here, this could be a customized by your team, right? This could be, so as you can see, show field, and I can even add fields to it to make it more related to my project. So just keep in mind, it will look like this, but it may have extra fields. It may have less fields. It's just based on the company and their preference, or your team and your team's preference. But this is how it's going to look like. So let's go into that. So remember, you have single button to create anything. You found a bug. What are you going to do? You're going to say, okay, sure, no problem. You're going to go into JIRA, log in. You're going to click on create. You have to choose the bug, but most importantly, you have to choose which project you're working on and which project did you find the bug. So if you found the bug in Penguin, select Penguin and then bug. And then as you can see, this is a required field in JIRA, is that summary means you have to write 1 line saying what happened and where. Okay, 1 single line you have to specifically write to explain what happened and where. And then you have to provide description and all that stuff. So all that good stuff we're going to talk about when we deep dive in about a minute. But right now, I think somebody has a question.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
Runa. What is
Yeah.
input issues? What is that for under the create?
Right here, import issues.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say you found 20 bugs and you didn't want to come here and click, and create all 20. You decided to create it on Excel sheet. Then you can import those from Excel sheet here. And then you will be able to, or maybe let's say your company had another, type of tool that allows import. So you take all those bugs from that and bring it here. So either way, you can also, as long as the Excel sheet meets the criteria, you can import those, pretty much import those issues that you need to import here. You can also export the issues.
Thanks.
You're welcome. All right, so let me slow down. I think I was too fast, right? Okay, so let's go into your project. So you started your day. Today is your first day, let's say, and you just joined your team and you just got access, and you can just see, I'm gonna reload this real quick, and you're right here pretty much. And you're thinking like, wow, recent project, wow, worked on, I have nothing viewed. I have something that I just went through, assigned to me. All of a sudden you see 2 or 3 things assigned to you and you're already panicking. It's your first day and you're gonna say, okay, what should I do? What should I do? The first thing you should see how many projects that you can see here. All right. So if you see one project, even if you see no project, you want to click on view all project. The idea is that when you click on view all project, whatever is assigned to you, that should show up here based on the permission they provided, right? So now if you see like 10 of them, don't get panicked. Is because maybe your manager wants you to see all 10, but doesn't mean you're going to be working on all 10. So what should be your first question to your manager? You're going to say, hey, which project am I on? But before even going into that project, every project and every team has a name. Okay. And so let's say they're keep telling you, you're going to be part of Penguin team, Penguin team, Penguin team. Then you can automatically understand there is a board or there is a project called Penguin, and you click on it and that must be your board, right? So you just have to use some sort of, common sense when it comes about understanding which project that you belong to. Now, no manager is going to be expecting to work on all 10. So they're going to say, okay, keep an eye. If you need to just go and check out their board, you can feel free. So I gave you access to all 10. All right. So that could be the case. But most importantly, you should be assigned to 1 or 2. If you work on 2 different projects, then you're going to see 2 different projects in here. So let's go into one of the project. The first one I'm going to show you is Scrum. Excuse me. So when I'm going to click on Scrum, and then after that, I'm going to show you guys Kanban. So there's 2 different Agile approach. If you guys did the Agile class, we have Agile Scrum and we have Agile Kanban. The Scrum is basically iterative with 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever is the time frame we have a sprint. The Kanban doesn't have the sprint. Everything else Agile offers is there, except for the duration. There is no duration. If I did something today, it'll be pushed, it'll be deployed today, it'll be delivered to the customer today. So we'll go into that specific project, but first let's look at the Scrum board. I'm going to make slight modification to my Scrum board because we're missing few item here, right? So we're going to do that. But when you let me just add that first before I can move any further. So board setting.
Can I ask a question while you do that?
Sure.
This is Ruma. So whatever is assigned to me, I can only see it, or the whole team can see it?
The whole team can see what's assigned to you. Yeah, this is not going to be any secret because they want to see like what kind of work you're doing, if you need any help, and you can definitely ask them for help also. Let's see, create a board. No, board setting. Okay. Add a column. So I'm going to say ready for QA. And so now, as you can see, we have a new column right here, ready for QA. And then the next one is ready for UAT. And I'm going to try to shortcut that and then done, right? So let's see if we go back to the board. And now we have 2 extra. So one thing that I want to make sure that people don't get confused, when you join a company, these columns really is customizable, right? So as you can see, ready for QA, I put it in here, and then ready for UAT is the second column that I added to make sure that we are able to follow the whole progress, the whole entire process of testing. So to do is really in the very beginning of your sprint. A developer is working on something, a user story right here, and he's going to move it to in progress when he's working on that specific story. Once he's done and he wants you to test it, he's going to then move it to ready for QA, right? Once he's ready for QA, this is where you will do everything that SDLC has offered, right? So what you will do here is that, let me just bring in, who wants to answer this? So in this column, if the story moves into this column right here, what will you do? What will you do before you can move into the UAT, before you can actually push that forward? Because this is going to go in this direction to done.
STLC.
Not looking for bugs.
Yeah, I might be wrong, but you tested, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay. What
we're
is
gonna
the process?
we're gonna follow the whole STLC life cycle.
Correct.
Like I'm gonna read the business requirement, and I'll do plan. I'll write test cases, and then test plan, then test cases.
Scenarios, right? You don't want to skip
Yeah,
the scenario.
scenarios. Yeah, scenarios.
Test cases. And then 5, execute them.
Yeah, execute them.
Test cases. Then 6 is
Release.
find or log bug, right? Create bug.
Yeah, feedback if I find any.
And track them because you want to make sure it's fixed so you can move things forward. Number 7, ready for UAT. That's when you're done. Number 8, you're going to help the UAT people so they can do their testing, and then it'll be ready for release. And then we got the 9. We're going to now do maintenance. Yeah, maintenance is part of the SDLC. So this is as far as we're going to go. So you're going to do all of these, even trust me, this is going to be by given, because by the time you are out there looking for a job, by the time you are going to be marketed, this is something should be like pretty much, you should be really, really solid about. If somebody asks you, can you walk me through a day of your testing experience? You should be able to answer that. Okay, so first I do this, second I do that, and third I do this, right? This is something that you have to know. This is what makes you as a tester. This has nothing to do with automation, learning automation tool, learning Java, writing some code. It has nothing to do with that, right? This is the process that you follow in order to continue and complete the testing before that moves over to UAT. So just keep that in mind. So once you do all of that, it goes to UAT and then it's done. So every single day when you go to work, you have a daily stand-up meeting. Your Scrum Master is going to open up this board specifically, and he's going to go into the board and he's going to click on your name. So as you can see my name right here, click on it. And he's going to say, okay, you will go ahead and tell me, you can start first, right? And then I'll start by saying, okay, so yesterday, I was looking at the SSP 11 and SSP 13. I don't have anything for testing right now. I think it's not done yet, but I'm looking at it. What I have done so far is review the requirement. I'm already planning on how to do the testing, and I'll be writing the test scenario today and test cases. And when they are ready, then I will execute my test cases, right? Even though I got nothing here for me in my plate, right? I have nothing. So I can simply say I'm reviewing them, and I can already do some work, right? In order to write the test cases, do I need this to be done? And, going into a specific server, the code, do I need the code to be done?
No.
No.
Up until here, I don't need the code to be done. So when you start your daily stand-up meeting and your Scrum Master pulls up this and says, okay, I'm gonna click on Joel. So I clicks on it. All right, Joel, you next. So you're gonna say, oh, all right, well, yesterday I was working on SSP 11 and SSP 13. And today I'll be continuing to work on them. And now all of a sudden somebody's like, oh, wait a minute, they're not done. What are you doing? You know, so it could be somebody asking that kind of question. So you can say, well, you know, it's not done, but I know that they will be done soon. So I'm just writing the test scenarios and test cases. So when they are done, I can simply just execute and move forward, right? So instead you're saying, the other response could be, you go to your daily stand-up meeting and now you have nothing in your plate, and they say, okay, so Jewel, go ahead. And you're gonna say, well, I waited yesterday, there's nothing ready for testing. So I'll be just, you know, waiting today and then see what I need to do next, right? So as you can see, 4 days remaining and they're gonna panic, right? You're like, oh, nothing is ready. Okay, now they're gonna find something for you. Okay, so you don't want that extra work. All right, why don't you help David with unit tests? Now you're gonna be writing unit tests, right? So instead, just say, just do some of the work ahead of time, which is probably gonna save you time later. And also is gonna make you busy so that we don't have to help developers on writing some unit tests. So just keep in mind, you can always do that. Now, for example, you don't even have this. You finish this the third day, there is nothing to do. You can add something else. You can say, I'm doing exploratory testing. Exploratory testing is basically just go into the application and just explore it. You try to break the system. You try to find some bugs without any documentation. You can even say black box testing. I'm doing some black box testing for now that I have some extra time. Last sprint, I didn't get that time. So I'm going to do that now to find any extra bugs or any discoveries. So that's my day today. That's it. All right. So let's practice for a second. I'm going to pick one or two of you to, talk about your daily scrum. So this is your daily stand-up. Remember, how many people don't remember what daily scrum is? Everybody's good here, right? Daily stand-up meeting, everybody's good, right? Because we covered that. Okay, good. All right, so let's say this is your, this is your board, this is your team, and I selected your name right here. And what would you say? Like, let's say I'm gonna ask, who should I ask? Maria, you're next. So your daily stand-up, you want to answer 3 questions. Remember that, right? What you did yesterday, what you're doing today. So make believe that you did something yesterday and today, and if there's any obstacle.
Yes. I'm sorry. So what is the question? What I do?
So we're kind of like playing stand-up meeting. Everybody's in a stand-up meeting right now, and I'm the Scrum Master. I have clicked on active sprint and I am showing who's working on what, right? So make believe this is you and this is assigned to you, right? This one is assigned to you. It's in to do. It's not even done. These 2 are in progress and this one is done. So give me your update.
Update about SSP 13. What does that mean? Like what I'm doing so far, you just explained. That is basically the things, is the question is.
Yeah, try to role play. Imagine you're in the team, right? Imagine you're in the team and I'm the Scrum Master and asking you the question.
Okay, so I will just copy paste you what you said. We have nothing much to do, so I'm reviewing. Still try to do my research and try to find a bug. So yeah, I think that's
Yeah. There is always something to, like for QA, when you say nothing else to do, then they will give you work. They'll give you extra work for no reason. And it might not be related to what needs to be done, right? Every time you have a sprint starts, you have a goal. The idea is to finish that goal, not anything else. So if you say I have nothing to do, they will give you other things, right? A Scrum Master may find something and say, okay, here, do this for me, right? So instead, you're going to start by saying, well, and this is like the first day of sprint, so you shouldn't expect anything here when you join a real company. So you're going to say, well, I'm reviewing SSP 11. I do have a few questions, SSP 13 as well. So I'm going to reach out to the product owner and also the business if I need to. But today I'm going to continue to review and then write the test scenario and test cases. Now you can say that, and you can say, well, SSP 14 is assigned to me. I'm not ready to work on that yet, so I will probably do that after I finish with 11 and 13. All right, so something like that you want to say. And then last question is if you have any obstacle, so you're going to say I don't have any blocker, and that's it. That means you're not blocked, you can continue to work. All right, so that is your active sprint. So let me go. Mhm.
Sorry. So let's say
Go
you
ahead.
mentioned we have like 10 cases over here. So all of them I have to go through, and let's say I have nothing kind of to do, which is the fact. But so I review all of them, right? I mean, initially.
Yeah. So it's not about the, look at the assignments, right? So for example, this is a user story. A user story, think about the whole STLC, right? So we talked about the STLC, but SDLC, let's talk about the SDLC for real. SDLC, the first thing is requirement, right? So gathering requirement. So which is really just user story in this case, if you're in Scrum. Number two is that design. Number three is code. Number four is test. Number five is release. And number six is maintenance. Now, by the time a story comes here in a sprint, right? That means what stage that is in by now, right? If a story is already in a sprint, that means that it already passed the design phase. The reason why it's in here is because developer needs to write their code. This is where, if the story is in your board, that means, and it's in progress by developer, that means they're writing code, right? If it's assigned to developer, that means they're writing code. So you already know that there is a design document and there is a requirement for this same specific text task, right? SSP 11 or story. Agree or disagree?
Yes, I agree.
Okay. The next thing, so since as a tester, we need to have requirement, and then that's the only thing we need in order for us to complete all of them. This requirement is already there. The design is already there. Design is there because we want to see visually how it's going to look like. And the requirement is already there to tell us exactly how the flows and business process will be, right? The only thing we're waiting for code, but we don't need the code until we are ready to execute our test. So that means we can really go up to this much, right? This much by the time the code is finished. So developer finishes their code and they move this to ready for testing, then we can start to do the testing ourselves. So hopefully this clarified. Okay, so let me go into the next. So in JIRA board, this was a project board, project active sprint board. That means for the last 2 weeks sprint. So this is, so currently my project is set up to 1 week. So as you can see, the start date was May. Oh, the date is not accurate, but anyway. So the 3rd, and then it's gonna finish on the 17th. Wow, okay. So that's 2 weeks, right? And basically this is a 2-week sprint, and you'll always see how many days is remaining. Now, if I just zoom out, and I can see that there is still 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 story needs to move to down section in order before the fourth day, the 4 days you have remaining before you can complete the sprint. So the focus of the sprint will be trying to get this through. Your Scrum Master will say, what do we need for SSP 13 to move over to done? So you can say, well, the developer is not done. As long as I already wrote my test scenario and test cases. Once they're done, then I can do the testing. Then I can move it over to UAT. So pretty much just understand what will be your workflow here. When you see a story ready for QA, that's when you assign that to yourself and start testing. So it's not going to be your boss, your manager coming in and saying, okay, here is an assignment. You have to go into the active sprint to see what is ready for testing. And then from here, you'll take, and then you'll move it over to UAT. You have to then help the UAT people on how to test. Sometimes they don't know. They're the end user. They don't have a lot of knowledge. They may not have technical knowledge as you do. So then you'll have to guide them through, help them on how to do the testing. And then it will move to done. Any question? This is clear? Okay. Okay.
Only
Good.
the confusion, Marcos.
What is the confusion?
That things how to work in JIRA software,
Mhm, mhm.
implement one by one to process.
Explain to me your question so I can break it down. So where are you exactly confused?
Confused is the progress of the list, and then actually SDLC and SDLC,
Mhm,
the process, and then this process will work out one after another, and then get ready to put in UAT. Right?
mhm.
And then it is going to another department to from the QA to UAT.
UAT. Mhm. All right, let me try to explain because if you, I don't know, were you in the last few classes that we had? Because few things that I mentioned here.
I missed one
SDLC.
class.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Brother, I missed just last class. I missed.
Okay, that's fine. So the thing is, the reason why we explain SDLC is because even if you're in Agile, you still have to follow this process on building the software, right? When it comes about testing, testing is inside of SDLC, which is another life cycle. In the active sprint board, remember in Agile, we have sprint, 2 weeks duration. 2 weeks time is equal to 1 sprint, okay? And in that time, we have to finish all of these phases of a small portion of the software that we're trying to build, right? Now, if you finish all of that means you also followed SDLC, because SDLC is right here as SDLC. We just magnified number 4 right here, so that way you can see all of the steps, right? But really it's inside of here. So we do all of that in that 2 weeks time frame. Therefore, if you take in the sprint number 1, if you take 5% of your application, by the end of the sprint, you will have 5% 100% ready and ready to ship, ready shipped product, right? That means 5% of the application is 100% ready. It's tested, it coded, it was the requirement was gathered, the design was done, all of it. The 5% of the application now can be used by the end user and happily paid, right? The next sprint, on your sprint number 2, you get another 5%. Now you have 10% of the application 100% ready to ship, right? Now let's connect the dots here. You have your sprint just started. When you start the sprint, you have pretty much backlog worth of work. So that means you have a goal. So pretty much you take information from product backlog. So all of the story, product backlog is basically, think about a bucket with wish list. List of features that you want, list of things that you want in your application. And then you know that you cannot work into the whole product backlog. So you want to divide this into numbers of sprint. And then you create a sprint backlog. So in the sprint backlog, you take some higher priority item and you put the backlog into basically these items into this bucket, okay? Now this is going to be all of the items that you put into that bucket is going to be here in to do, because this is a sprint, right? To do. Now before you even complete, we know that one sprint is equal to 2 weeks, right? So by the end of the 2 weeks, all the item that is in to do should be in done. And we're ready to start this sprint number 3. And we can probably do that here as soon as we're ready. But does it make sense? Does it connect any dots? And along the way, because you have 2 weeks, every day you have stand-up meeting, which we just performed, right? You'll be talking to your whole team in the morning, the first thing you will do is that you have a stand-up meeting where you talk about the progress that you made. On the last day of the sprint, you're going to see nothing else is here. Everything is in done section because what happened? Because developers, they write their code, they did their code, and you did all of your engineering work, which is STLC. You reviewed the requirement, you wrote the test plan, you wrote the test scenario, test cases, execute, create bug. And if you found a bug, that story is going to stay here until the bug is fixed, and then you move it on, right? So that's completely a different process in terms of bug lifecycle.
So the question is, after they, whoever, I mean, the developer is going to move it to ready for QA, and then you are going to move it back to in progress.
So let's
when you
say,
find a bug.
yeah. So if you find a bug, you are free to put it back in progress. But what I normally do is that I let the developer know. So if it's, let's say here in QA, I will let them know that, hey, I found a bug. This bug needs to be fixed. So you have to determine whether this story can be moved to done without fixing it, right? The rules of thumb is if the bug was created in this sprint, meaning the bug was found in this sprint, then they should fix it. If the bug is relevant to the story, then they should fix it. So you're going to tell them that the bug is related to your change. So I will not move this story until you fix, right? Sometime they will say, okay, you know what, create a bug. So I'm going to create a bug just to give you guys an example. So create a bug. Okay, so for example, in login page, for example, login page, user name does not take, let's say, take ID with number, for example. So username, if the username has a number, it doesn't take. I just wrote something. This I just made believe. And now I'm gonna have to write steps and everything, right? So we're gonna go into that, but for now, let's, for the sake of argument, we create the bug. Okay, and the bug is not here right away. So I'm gonna go into that because the bug is not here is because it's not assigned to a sprint, right? So I'm gonna go into my work and I'm gonna go into recent. And as you can see, it shows this is the one that I just created. Then the next thing I have to do is assign a sprint to it. Okay, so let me go ahead and do that real quick. Open. And then, okay, click this. Where is it? Details. They changed so much. I'm still using the older version of the JIRA at work. So 1 second, I'm gonna have to find that. Add a sprint. Medium. Where is the, okay, there you go. Okay, right here. So sprint is right there. So I'm going to add it to the sprint. So I'm adding it to the current sprint because that's where it belongs, right? You don't have to save or anything because this is, this is auto saves. So now if I go back to my active sprint, okay. If I go to active sprint, I can see the bug is right here, right? So now I can say that this guy, SSP 11 is blocked by this bug. Unless this, unless this bug is fixed, I cannot move this forward. So I can go in there and I can link it. You see link issue, and I can say is blocked by, and I'm going to say bug something, right? So login, I can search and keyword search and find my bug and then link it. So now they know that unless this bug is fixed, this story is going nowhere. Okay, so it is going to stay in progress until then. Okay.
Until then, I have to wait. Until then.
Until you don't wait, you basically move on to the next item. SSP 12 is waiting for you to work on.
Okay.
Yeah, and then obviously, by the time you're done with SSP 12, is SSP 11 is not ready for testing, then you tell them like, I'm sorry, but I have a few days left, 4 days remaining for the sprint. I need SSP 11 to be resolved. The bug is waiting on that to do for a long time. That's it, and then they will pay attention. Okay, so makes sense, right? Like pretty much this is going to be the place where you want to come and see the progress of your team making. As you can see like ready for QA, for example, this one ready for QA. And now you basically went to work one day, you went to the board and you realize, whoa, this is ready for testing. You click on it, immediately assign that to yourself. So find yourself here and go ahead and assign it. And once the assignment is done, you can also, in addition to that, you can say working on it, for example, all right? And you can say working on it is because why? As you can see, look, to do in progress, it just gives you all the data, but working on it means you now have a timestamp here. So if anybody ever tells you like, oh, you haven't tested, you can go to your comment and you can see if you actually worked on it or not. So here, and then you're going to do your testing. So all of the SDLC stuff you're going to follow, all of it. So first you read it. So update tasks. So this is just a sample assignment, right? Sample user story. So you're going to read it, understand it. The description is going to be here. So it's going to be like something like this. Acceptance criteria. So they're going to describe feature. I'm going to describe login. So as a Facebook user, I would like to be able to log in using my valid or using my credentials, right? So their username and password. Given I am on Facebook login page, when I enter my username and password, then and click on the login button, then let me go on there, then I should be logged in. That's how descriptive your user story could be if the developer, if the business or the product owner is nice enough to do that. So if they follow, for example, if they follow acceptance criteria, anytime you see acceptance criteria in your user story, you can expect something like this. Feature is just basically the name of the feature. It's going to explain what they want in single line. And then the details come from here, right? So now the detail is going to be right here in scenario. So let me just go up scenario. So they will be nice enough to give you all the scenarios. So scenario number 1, and then scenario number 2 and 3 and so, right? So just keep that in mind that they will add all the scenarios for this specific feature. All you got to do is copy this, convert that into test cases, and then execute them, find bugs if you can, and just follow pretty much exactly what they say, right? You're going to go into the login page. You're going to enter the valid username and password. If it logs you in, then you're good to go for this specific scenario. Now, a login feature has a lot of scenarios, and I can tell you how many scenarios that you can create. So when we do the test cases, I'll teach you guys on how to write test scenarios and test cases. But for now, this is going to be user story for you. You're going to read your acceptance criteria. You're going to then execute them, or you're going to write your test cases somewhere, right? There will be other tools that we'll talk about where you're going to write this test cases. Once it's done, then you're going to say, okay, I'm done. And you move it to UAT. As soon as you move it to UAT, you're going to see the business guy or the product owner is jumping right on. They're usually quick because they are excited to see the new feature because they're the one who requested originally. So you'll see that they're jumping right on and they're going to say, hey, I know that you tested this. Can you give me an overview of this? So you can actually say, okay, let's do a 5 minutes demo. So you're going to put them into a 5 minutes meeting or 10 minutes meeting, and you're going to show them, okay, this is what I tested it. Everything looks good. I looked at the design. I also looked at the scenario. Everything checks out. Please let me know if you find anything and I will retest it. So basically you're opening the door for product owner to also tell you like, hey, I found this issue. Then you can simply just take the issue and go ahead and create a bug for them and move this back to progress, right? But that shouldn't be the case because we want to do our job as thorough as possible. So the UAT testers, the only thing they have to do is just double check and it should be moving into done. So UAT tester will then move this to done. Okay. And that will be your active sprint board. Okay, so any question on active sprint board before I move into the rest of the other tabs that we have? Everybody understood, right? Like, I'm gonna pick some of you guys and ask you a question. Everybody's good? Okay, fine.
I'm good.
Okay. And then we have roadmap, and you may think, what is the roadmap and what is the backlog? So remember, we talked about the product backlog like earlier, like a few minutes ago. And we talked about the sprint backlog. So this was your sprint backlog. So if you go into the backlog, and you can see how many stories are assigned to one sprint. And then you see the product backlog. This backlog is actually just the product backlog. So now, let's say I'm preparing myself, I'm a VA now, right? And I want to create sprint 3. And now I'm planning how many stories will be in sprint 3. I'm already planning, you see, I'm just choosing stories that will be in sprint 3. Sometime things that are not done in sprint 2, I'll move them down to sprint 3, right? So as you can see, confirm and successful. Okay, that's good. And then I'll move more stories. So while you and the rest of the team working in the sprint 2, which is active, I, as a business analyst, I already prepared sprint 3 and moved some of the stories from the backlog, from the product backlog to the sprint, ready for the next, what, grooming session or sprint planning? Which one do you guys think?
Sprint planning?
Yeah, sprint planning, because the grooming is when I take the stories from here and put it into sprint planning. But sometimes they will be nice enough to already select the stories from the backlog and move it into a sprint. And the grooming needs to be done before the sprint planning. Grooming means they're just going to go through each and every single story here to make sure that it has all the necessary information. And then we will have sprint planning. In the sprint planning, we're going to basically close the sprint number 2, which was the past sprint, which is we already worked on. And they're going to open up sprint number 3 with new task. And we're going to see the same board. Again, the first day, you're going to see everything in to do, and then your developer are going to start to work on. It'll move to in progress, and then ready for QA, ready for UAT. And after that, it'll be done.
So
Now,
you're saying,
go ahead.
so you were saying we do the grooming first and then do the sprint planning.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, before you can even move the story to a sprint, you want to make sure that these stories have enough information. All right. So the grooming will be done like, so let's say your sprint currently is 2. They will do a grooming during the mid sprint, right? Mid sprint meaning like after the 5 days, 5 business days, they will do a grooming for the sprint 3. So your BA will come in here and say, okay, guys, let's talk about the sprint 3. Even though you are in sprint 2 and worrying about finishing work for sprint 2, they're going to say, okay, let's look at this. He's going to explain everything to you. And he's going to say, okay, can I move this in sprint 2? Sorry, sprint 3. And then you're going to say, yeah, sure, sprint 3. And then this is when he's going to move things here. And then during the sprint planning, you're going to estimate. So for example, this one, how many points that is? The point goes right here. Remember what we did, sprint planning versus sprint grooming, stand-up meeting, all of that, right? We did a homework on all of those. So hopefully you guys can remember those. But this is when you can really apply all that knowledge and do your regular daily task in JIRA. This tool is to just help you throughout the whole agile process. The next one is roadmap. So backlog.
Can you please recap on the story points?
Yeah. So you guys remember what is a pointing poker? Who here remember? Nobody remembers pointing poker?
No, I remember.
Okay.
It's when you use a point to determine the length that you want to, the length that you're going to need to complete whatever sprint that you're completing at the time.
Yep. So the whole team is going to sit down and people are going to be answering questions in terms of the story. So the VA is going to go ahead and open up this story just like this and say, okay, can you guys go ahead and give me a point after explaining. So BA will explain to you like, okay, so I want to do this, I want to do that. This is how the feature should work and all of that, right? After the understanding, the BA is going to say, okay, guys, go ahead and give me a point, right? And so this might be something your team ask you to do, right? Where, so I'm gonna like just start a session now. And now let's say, just gonna start session. And now you're gonna see something like this on your end. They will share this specific link and they're gonna say, okay, why don't you guys point this specific story? And you're gonna say, well, I think this is a 2 points, right? And done. So everybody, in this case, you can see everybody pointed 2. So the answer will be revealed as soon as all of the team members answer about the point. So nobody can see nobody else's point before writing what they think, how much time is going to take. The idea is that if I see, let's say, for example, somebody who's very respected team member, who always really, really well versed about understanding the estimation, and his estimation is always correct, and he says it's 5 points, I'm not going to do any thinking. I'm just going to say 5 points. I agree with him, 5 points. And it's going to go like that all the time. So that kind of removes the reason why we even estimate, right? Otherwise we can just have somebody, just one person estimate everything, right? So that's why we don't want to reveal the point until everybody points it. So we get the unbiased, answer, and then we take an average of that point, or sometimes we take highest or lowest depending on whoever can convince the team if it's a 2 point or if it's a 3 points or if it's a 5 points. Okay, and the point can vary. 2 point means like 1 day of work, for example, and then 3 points means two days of work, right? So based on the length, how many hours it takes, the point will be. So you have to, when you join a team, you have to ask your team, what does 1 point means, right? And it's a valid question, because 1 point could mean 5 hours for one team, and another team, 1 point means maybe 10 hours. You don't know that. So based on that, you have to do the estimation. So you have to make sure that you understand what 1 point is equal to, and then you can do relative, pointing to the user story. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. So now I'm going to go into the roadmap. So backlog, what do you do? Backlog is basically if there is a story deferred. Maybe you wrote a bug, you found a bug that is very minor. For example, the color, let's see. Oh my goodness, the color does not match, right? For example, of the login button. So this is not a blocker. This is maybe a low priority bug, right? So priority wise, maybe very low, right? And you created the bug and it immediately went to the backlog, and you say, I don't know, your team members, everybody in your team says, okay, this is low enough. When we have time, we can work on it, but for now, move it all the way in the bottom of the backlog, right? This is not priority at all. So you will be creating some stories or the bugs, and that will go into the backlog. But if you create a bug and you don't see it in your active sprint, then you go to the backlog, you find it in the backlog, and then you move it over. Okay, you just move it over, and then you go to the active sprint. Now we have 2 bugs. Okay. Any question on the backlog?
Can
So
you
are
show
you
that
saying that
link
you,
again? I'm sorry.
Okay.
no, you
So
go ahead.
one question at a time. Let's go ahead.
Can you show the active sprint again? How you put it back to the to-do?
Sure. So this is your active sprint, right? And in here you have to do, in progress, ready for QA, and then UAT and done. When it comes about to do, like when you start the first sprint, all of the story that belongs to sprint number 2 will show up in to do. It's because nobody's working on them. It's your first day. So now developers slowly start to move that in progress because they are working on it, right? They will be working on these, right? And so when they are in progress, you have some work to do. You can still go ahead and write some of these documentations that you need to write, okay? And you can actually do partial work in the meantime. So you don't have to wait for the story to be done. Once the developer is done with this code, he's going to put it in ready for QA. Now, if you go to a stand-up meeting and you don't see anything ready for QA, then you can ask the developer, say, hey, is there anything ready for QA? Please let me know. Otherwise, I'm working on the stories that are in progress. I'm creating, test cases and test scenarios. But you can always ask, it's not a problem. So once they move it here, that means this story is ready to be tested. You can then assign it to yourself, and you can actually create tasks under this. So you create subtasks. The first task is to basically create test scenario. For example, scenarios. Okay, so that's one task. Then create test cases. The other task is execute test cases. And then as soon as this is ready, you can now start to say, okay, I will go ahead and finish those tasks, right? So now this task, you can, once you're done creating the test cases, you can post it here in comment, and then you can close it. See, you can say done, something like this. And you see, create test scenarios done. And similar to that, to create test cases, you can say, okay, I'm done with this and done. And then the last one, execute. That means you are completely done. You executed, no bug was found, and you're good to go, right? So all three is done. And the story right here, which is your parent story, now can move into done as well after this story, the task is done. Make any sense? Some companies, they don't even want you to create the task, right? But most of the companies will want to see the progress of your work. So they will ask you to create the task under the story, under the parent story. So this is your parent story, and this is where you want to. If you click on it, you will be able to create subtask. Okay. All right. So backlog is also taken care of. Roadmap, we're going to go to the roadmap. Roadmap is really for the BA, right? So this is something that I'm going to explain to you guys, but just keep in mind, you may not do this yourself. This is where you want to create Epic. So for example, one of the Epic, as we know, Epic is like a huge story, right? So one of the Epic is to allow, let's say, MySpace user to automatically sign up in Facebook because MySpace is already gone, for example, let's say, right? So you want all of the users to come here automatically because Facebook paid the MySpace people to take their user, for example. So this is an Epic because it's not just a single item. It's a lot of things that they have to do in order to bring all those users. So now this is an Epic. As you can see, the symbol of the Epic right there, and you can provide a time frame here. So you can say this Epic is going to take maybe until June, end of June, right? That's it. So now the timeline is added for this Epic. And under the Epic, now I can create story. As you can see, remember, we talked about this. So I can say first, understand the data, understand user data, right? That's one. Second is learn what we can take, right? Basically as data. And then and then transform those data, because not all the data is going to come out to be nice. So we want to make sure the data is transformed into something that we want, right? Desired data. Transform the data and load that into Facebook database, let's say database. And that's all they need. So this Epic created 1, 2, 3, 4 different user stories, right? And then basically you can now track the progress. So as long as you get done one, you're going to see this progress is going to change. So this is how the Epic is created in the roadmap. The roadmap is basically what's coming and the time frame for that specific Epic that you want to complete. So now if you go into your active sprint, you can actually, if you go to the backlog, you can actually now assign Epic to them, right? So you see, allow Facebook, so I can now paste, okay, you see. And so now I can say this is part of the Epic, right? So as you can see, if I go back to the roadmap, I can see how much work was done. As you can see right here, in progress is 2 out of 8 user stories, okay? So I can see most of the user stories. that is under a specific epic. And the way you do it, you go to the backlog, there is epics, and you can create the epic here and then assign the stories that belong to that specific epic. Make any sense? Remember, we talked about BA can break down an epic and make them into stories. And this is exactly where they do it. Make sense? Anybody, any question for the roadmap?
So Epic is mostly used by BA, not even by the Scrum Masters.
It depends, right? How much the Scrum Master knows about the product, how much he's involved, right? I would not say definite answer that he doesn't, but the BA and the product owner are the people that who will think about those epics, right? Because even the Scrum Master, they don't define the product, right? They don't really provide, or they don't dictate what the product should be. So it's the same thing for us, like for QA and the developer, right? We only care about getting our part of the work done. What do we care about? We care about doing this process and be able to finish our task, but also we provide recommendations. The other one is like to be a good tester. If you see something, you say something. So if you see, let's say, something doesn't look good, it looks weird, the user will suffer, the usability will suffer, user will get annoyed by the feature, you let them know and say, look, I'm a user and I'm using this application and I feel like we can do better. I know this is what we want, but this is really, really going to frustrate a lot of customers. So let's try to do it better. And you can actually bring that up. So you don't have to feel like you don't have the free will in your team. You definitely have a lot of, ability to make the product better, right? But also we have to keep in mind that in terms of new feature, we don't tell them like, oh, why do we want this feature? Oh my God, this is not good. Why do we even want it? We don't care about that because the BA, they do their market research. They go through extensive research and approval process to get to that point, to make a decision whether they want something. So we don't want to like kind of, give them a decision and say, no, we don't want this. This is not good. We don't want to say nothing like that. If they want something, that means they went through all that process. Just like STLC, they have their own process when it comes about coming up with requirement, right? So they do their own work, right? So we don't want to underestimate when it comes about their direction in terms of new feature. All right. So with that said, we got most of it covered in JIRA. So now let's talk about us right now today and the homework. Okay. So now you have yourself a create button, right? How many people here don't have access still to JIRA?
I don't.
Okay, so paste your email address in there. But everybody else do, right?
I did.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay, good. So now I'm going to deep dive a little bit into how to create a bug, because we're going to cover how to create test cases and everything else in another class, but at least let's talk about the bug. When we create a bug, how to create them, right? So you were testing, let's see, I'm waiting for your email. If you don't have access, just, okay, there we go. Okay, let me just go ahead and give you the access first. So many things that you can see here, like for example, each component's report. The report, you're not going to see it because the report is for managers, right? So you may not see the reports. If I click on report, I can see the burn down chart, which we talked about. We remember the 10 minutes video you guys watched? Now I can see my whole team's progress for the 2 weeks or 3 weeks that they spent from the day, like how much work they're doing. Now, if I'm a manager, obviously you're not going to see this, right? But I'm a manager and I'm seeing this, and all of a sudden I see like on the last day, this thing jumped all the way up, meaning all the work was done in the last minute. This is a concern for me as a manager because when you rush things and get things done at the last minute, it's always going to have issues. So that means the QA was sitting and doing nothing. The developers were just basically delivering everything at the last minute, and the QA then had to test it in the last minute, and they were under pressure. And so that's definitely a concern. So they can come here and they can see a timeline, how much work has been done. This is the burn down. That means the work has been reduced as they are pretty much finishing. If I do see it goes significantly down, then there is a level of concern. If I go to the burn up, it's basically going up, as you can see. This is the burn up chart. So how much work was done total over time. And then we go into the sprint report. So the whole sprint, throughout the whole sprint, how much work was done and when, based on the dates. We have the velocity, right? So this could be our expected velocity and this could be the actual velocity, meaning what we committed. So remember commitment we talked about before the sprint or sprint planning, we commit to a specific number. So as you can see, this team committed 17.5, I think like close to 19 points, but they only finish 16.5 points, right? And I can see right here. And then there are flows, cumulative flows that you can see that you will not have access to. These are the things that you will not have access to, but the managers, they will show you at the end of the sprint and they will go over and say, guys, let's look at the burn down chart. We're doing pretty good, right? Let's look at the sprint chart. Okay, so we did pretty good. We didn't spike in any given time. That means everybody did their work daily basis, which is great, right? So this is something that they will review at the end of the sprint in your sprint retrospective meeting. Okay, so think that, and you can also bring up other issues in sprint retrospective. If you didn't have enough time, developers didn't give you enough time to test, you can actually bring it up and say, look, we had to rush at the last minute. QA shouldn't be rushed because we can make errors and let go of the bugs and things like that. So moving forward, we shouldn't do last minute items. All right, so that's pretty much. And then there is other part to this. You can actually see the code in JIRA as well. So the code integration needs to be done through your development team. This is something that you don't have to worry about. If you want to see it, you can see it. If you don't want to see it, you don't have to see it. It's really, really up to you. I like to look at code sometime. It gives me a good idea what they did and just read through it. And also release. So every time they will have different version that is releasing, and they will basically need approval under the release, right? So for this release, they will, before they go ahead and release, that needs to be approved and so on, right? So this version 2.0 release, we see these are the user stories that will be assigned to the release, and your manager will create release note to provide the user what was fixed. So as you can see, release note, bug, story, and subtask was done for this sprint before we are releasing this. And that is pretty much it. Any questions to the JIRA before we go into the assignments?
So I posted my email address when you hook me up with the JIRA.
Yeah, 1 second, let me see real quick. So you guys have exactly 2 weeks to pretty much come in here and do everything that you need to do, right? Okay, I just sent you. So what I need from you guys as a homework is I'm going to assign you guys a specific project. And let me go back to the JIRA board. All right, so when you click on project, I think you guys should see all of them, but I'm gonna go into penguins specifically, and I'm gonna go ahead and add, I'm gonna go ahead and add this task. 1 second, Kanban, create Scrum board. Next project name is demo. So this is your demo, create board. All right, so now active board right here. This is your demo board. And I'm gonna go ahead, board setting, add a column in QA. So I'm gonna change the setting a little bit this time, right? In QA, ready, for QA. Add ready for UAT. Ready for release. Okay, so okay, development done should be pretty much right after in progress. Okay. Ready for QA should be right before, and then we should be good to go. And then okay, ready for release. Okay, that's good. So I'm gonna go to the Springboard real quick. Demo. Okay, so the demo project that you guys can see, you have to do in progress. In progress when developers are working on it. Development done, that means they finish. And then, oh, I gotta flip this over 1 second. Board setting. Ready for release. Okay, that's fine. In QA should be here. Active sprint. Okay, so to do in progress when developers are working on, developers done, they move it in here. Then when you want to work on, you move it to in QA. When you're done, you basically move it to UAT. And once UAT done, is ready for release, and then it's done. So what I need you guys to come in here and create bugs and bugs only. So you're testing, and then you basically create a bug. So I'm going to create a sample bug before I end the day. And I'm going to provide the best possible outcome or best possible way to create a bug in JIRA, right? So you found a bug, you're testing Facebook, for example, right? And so let's make believe you're testing something. I'm just going to open up Incognito. By the way, we use Incognito most of the time. So create an account. I'm going to click on that. And let's say when you enter your name, it's the demo project, and then mobile number is this, whatever it is, password is this. Let's sign up. And as you can see, red, which is good. So let's say I'm going to make believe a bug. Okay. In order to give you guys an example. So the requirement says that if I enter a international number, it should take it, right? For example, right? Please enter a valid mobile number, but it's telling me that this number is wrong, right? For some reason. So this could be like any international number, whatever it is. So this is a make-believe bug. It's not an actual bug. So this is something just for our sake for today to create a bug in JIRA. So the first thing I will do, so okay, this doesn't meet my requirement. I read the job requirement, and it does say that it should be international number, and this is my number, and it's not taking it. It's telling me it should be valid. The first thing I will do, I'll create a screenshot. Oh, not this. Okay. Light shot. So whoever uses Mac, you guys can probably use this tool. Otherwise, if you're a Windows guy, you can use sniping tool, snipping actually, and then whenever you take a screenshot, some of the best practices that you want to do is like, you don't want to just copy just because this doesn't work, and you just take this specific section, highlight this, and you go into this, and you take the screenshot. This is probably not the best case. This is not the best thing that you can do. What you want to do is that you want to take the screenshot of the whole entire web page. You want to show the URL that you visited, because it will reveal where you are, what application you're using, what environment, and even the extension of that environment. And as you can see, like they can see right off the bat if there's something wrong within the URL. So you want to include that. Also, if you can, include the time. So if you want to include the time right here, time and date in your screenshot, that would be great, because then at least it will show that when was the last time you guys were testing. And then when you take your screenshot, you want to point out exactly where is the problem. If the problem is here, that's the only thing I want to highlight. I don't want to say the whole page is not working. I don't want to say here's a screenshot, the whole thing is not working. I just want to point out and narrow down to the problem. And that's what we have to do as a QA. We have to always narrow down to the problem that we're seeing. So now that we have the screenshot, we're going to go back to the JIRA board real quick, and we're going to create ourselves a bug. So the bug, the first line, you want to write what happened where. So in register page, user is not able to enter an international phone number. All right. So that's the problem. You just first saying where you are, and then saying in second, you're saying what is the problem. I didn't say the registration page, register page is not working. And trust me, a lot of people do this and they will not take this as a bug, right? This is not even everybody's going to like, okay, what do you mean? Wait a minute, they will grill you. They will not even, they will not even consider the fact that, you might be a new person. So they will say that, okay, what happened and where? They will reject the bug because they don't know where the bug is. So, so then if I can go back right here, and then you have the ability to choose which component. So in this case, we don't have that enabled, so it's fine. The first thing in the description you want to provide is steps to reproduce. What does that mean? Is that how I was able to get to this bug? So you want to provide as detailed as possible. So one, user is in the registration page, right? So user is on the registration page. And the next thing, what is the user did? The second step is, and you can probably highlight this. And the next thing, user entered all required information, right? Then user entered international phone number, and it is very important what was the phone number, right? Because they may use another international phone number and they will not see the same issue, right? So you want to provide exactly what was the phone number that you have used. So this was the test data that you use, right? So test data. This was the phone number that you used, so you want to provide that, and this actually created the bug. So I'm going to go ahead and read it. And then number 4, user. So once that is entered, right, expected result, you have to provide expected result. What were you expecting? And what did you see? Actual result. So actual result, we saw an error message. Error message showing to enter a valid phone number, right? That's exactly what we saw, right? When we were trying to enter that international number. The expected result based on my requirement was to was basically to be able to enter the international number. User should be able to enter the international phone number, right? For registering for Facebook, FB, whatever, right? So this is something that you were expecting, but you found actually you didn't find that. Anytime you see a bug is because you expected something, it didn't happen. So you have to provide these two. What is your expectation and what did you see? And what are the steps that you found? The next thing you want to do is then a screenshot. Remember the screenshot? So we took it earlier. So I'm providing that right here, and it's going to probably add it in about a second. It's doing its thing. So we added the screenshot right there, okay? And I can probably bring that screenshot here by clicking on the screenshot. Oh, no, not there. Plus, okay, so this will upload it again, right? But we have that screenshot down here somewhere, right here, okay? The next thing you want to do is the version. Which version were you testing? This is not enabled for our project, but it's fine. Priority. And so you want to think about the severity of the bug and priority. So this is pretty high priority. You don't want to say highest, but it might be highest priority because international customers cannot log in or register because they are not able to use their phone number. So this is pretty highest in terms of the priority. Whenever you see a workaround, that is not the highest priority. If the user do not have any other way to do their part of the business in that website, then it's the highest priority. The high priority would be like if that is something to deal with the important features of the application. And then the medium priority is because they have a workaround. It's not that serious, but it is, right? It's okay. Like you have to make that kind of judgment based on the severity of an application. Then you can label it and you can basically say where that is, register page. So I'm gonna put a label, new label, and then I have to provide environment. So I tested in QA, I found the issue. I tested in dev environment and I found the issue. I tested in stage and I found the issue. So I basically tested in all places and I found the same issue, right? 3 different environment attempts that I made in testing. I did 5 times and 5 out of 5, 1, 1, 1, 3, and then I tested again, you know, in each environment. And then I'm going to say not found in production environment. That means people that are using the application, the Facebook current version of Facebook that is released doesn't have that issue. So the issue must be in these environments and it needs to be fixed. And then we got ourselves the screenshots. Affected version you can provide. You can see what is blocking. If this blocks any other things within the application, you can assign it to a developer in right here, right? And then you can assign it to an epic. What is this epic related to? And you can assign it to a sprint lastly, right here. And then you can just go ahead and click on create. And this is the best possible way to create a bug in JIRA. But yes, you can probably do much better with the time. As I rush through it, you can probably do a little bit more better than me. So as you can see, the bug is pretty much, you click on it and they can see what's the issue. The developer can like now read the steps and understand what it is the bug is doing. And the most important information here is that why do we have to be so descriptive, right? Who wants to answer that? Why do we have to be very descriptive? How come developers are not smart enough to like understand that international numbers should be present in this? Why do we have to be so descriptive? Who wants to give me an answer here? Go ahead, Jonathan.
I think everyone will see this. So like product owner or stakeholder, they can also view this, right? So maybe that's why we have to explain so much because they don't know.
You will be surprised. Sometimes what the developers do is that when you found a bug, they want the information. They want all this information is because they don't have the time to just mess around. They don't have the time. They want to immediately know where the issue is, and they should be able to reproduce that sooner than later. And let's say you're missing this, then they'll bring that as a complaint. You'll see like one of the issues that we have with developers is that the bugs, oh no, this is not a bug, because they love to reject the bugs, right? They'll say, no, this is not a bug, it's working as designed. So that's why we have to be so descriptive that they don't even come back to us and say, wait a minute, what did you do? So let's say you didn't provide step to reproduce, and he used, instead of, so let's say this is Canada number, right? And instead of Canada number, he's using number from India and saying, okay, I was able to use international phone number, right? And he didn't see the issue. He'll convince everybody. And now you're going to be like, oh, okay, maybe I was wrong. You're going to go back and test it and be like, oh, no, I was right. And then you'll have to talk to him again. So that's back and forth. There's a lot of back and forth going on just because you didn't provide a small detail about the bug. But most importantly, if you don't provide the details 1 month later, because they have an ability to defer this bug. If it's a low priority, it's going to go into the bottom of the backlog, right? And 2 months later, now they decided to fix it, and now they cannot even reproduce because they don't know what was the bug. And they will reach out to you and say, hey, can you show us where is the bug? And you can't reproduce because you yourself cannot remember after 2 months. So that's why you have to be as descriptive as possible. But the most important reason why you would be so descriptive in the bug is because we don't want developers to come and like, set up a meeting with us like every time they work on a bug. Like, hey, can you sit down with me for 5 minutes? Show me what it is. We don't want that. We want to remove that kind of, need, that kind of communication need. Okay. So that is today. You guys just learn how to create a bug. So make sure you put that back in your mind. I would ask you to, the homework is basically get yourself familiar with JIRA, and I'm going to give you guys until, so basically you have until Friday. Maybe I'm going to send you guys a quiz. It's going to be like, multiple choice, and I'm going to try to make it easy for you guys. And the quiz is going to be all about JIRA questions, right? So JIRA interview questions, by the way. So get yourself as much as familiar with this JIRA since you guys have access, and feel free to look at the sample projects that we have and play around. You don't have admin access, so you're not going to be able to mess anything up. But yeah, before deleting anything, just remember, if you want to delete something, just create it first yourself, and then you delete your own thing. It's not a problem. But play around, get yourself familiar with, and then I'm going to send you guys the quiz either tomorrow night or maybe by tomorrow night. I have to create it because this is the first time I'm sending JIRA quiz. So I'll be sending you guys the quiz after creating it, and you'll have plenty of time until Saturday to work on it.
And that's the homework?
Yeah, that will be the homework in JIRA. I'm going to send
we
you
don't
guys.
have to create a bug.
You can create a bug. I mean, one of the tasks will be creating a bug. Like some of the homework that I guess the part of the homework will be creating a bug and then take a screenshot and pasting it over there in your quiz. So I still haven't created, so I'm gonna have to think about it and create to make sure that it involves some learning. So some things that you'll have to come back in here to understand before you can answer the question. Okay, so get familiar with this, because this is something that you will be using every single day. And nobody's going to give you training on JIRA, because in your resume, it's going to show that you know everything about JIRA, because that's like if you worked somewhere, even if you worked as a help desk, IT help desk guy, you will still be using something like this, like a JIRA tool, where you will manage your task on a daily basis.
This is like a Salesforce kind of.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to put it that way, Salesforce is more, customized, more customized. This is here, like you cannot do as much as customization as Salesforce, but Salesforce has a very specific need, a different side of that. This is more like project management.
Sorry, so Grafana is also similar to this?
What is it?
Grafana.
What was the name? Spell it for me.
Grafana.
Grafana. Let's see. Grafana. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, seems like it. I never used it, so yeah, it does have the similar features, right? I can tell you guys a list of items that so if you know JIRA, you should also know these things, right? So JIRA is one tool for project management and user story management and bug management. Then you have Azure DevOps. This is another one this is also for test case management. So not only it can do everything that JIRA does, but it can also do test case, right? And then you have Rally. Rally is like pretty much step brother of JIRA. So it does exactly everything as JIRA does. It's just that the look is different. This is more simplified look, and this is more in terms of colorful and I guess more interactiveness to JIRA. And Rally is more simplified. And then you have ALM. ALM is basically very similar to Azure. What it does is that it does everything that JIRA does, but it also allows you to do test case, right? But mainly currently everybody uses for test case ALM for application lifecycle management. So HPLM. Lastly, you have Monday, which is just came in like several years ago, monday.com. If you ever seen any sort of commercial, because they're really high on YouTube in terms of advertisement. So Monday is pretty much like JIRA, but this is modern. This is more simplified. This is more user guided and people can start using it right away. So these are some tools that you'll be using for task management daily at work. So if you learn JIRA, you should pretty much know all of these because it's more or less the similar feature, right? You're just gonna probably take 1 or 2 days to kind of realize how I did things in JIRA versus Azure DevOps. It'll be very, very similar. It may have different names, but it'll be similar.
Okay, so what are we going to cover in JIRA? Like, what is the specific things we are going to learn in the course?
JIRA is basically what I want you guys to learn is that how you're able to assign a task to yourself, how to create a task, how to create a bug, and how to look at the assignments, what is ready for testing, so you can actually carry out your part of the work. Okay, so you'll be coming here, you'll see what is ready, and then you'll do the testing and then move it forward. Okay, I think it's pretty late. I will let you guys end today's session, but just keep in mind homework is coming. I'll create the homework and it'll be based on this software. You guys have from today 2 weeks exactly to mess around with this tool and learn anything and everything about it. The next class, the first 30 minutes, we're going to just spend on asking questions about JIRA, right? And you can also ask questions in terms of like what you if you have any additional question or what you learned, and obviously the homework we're going to go through.
So do you also have chance to go through a little bit with the JQL or SQL, something like that?
Yeah, sure. So let's look at the JQL real quick, right? So I'm going to click
do it
on
eventually, right?
JQL. You don't have to, right? Because think about this way. You have a choice between, so simply you're searching for issues, right? Searching for specific tickets. And if you don't use JQL, you can use the simplified version, which is like drop downs and you select what you want. But if you're a pro in JIRA and you feel like you want to use JQL, you can go ahead and click on JQL. Now you can say, okay, I don't want project SKP, I want project demo, right? DEMO. And now I can do a search, right? So you can actually switch between different projects and you just type it up. But I would say not everybody knows, right, about how to use JQL and things like that. Most people uses this view. JQL is when, let's say let me go into the other project. Let's say you go into Scrum and you're able to grab all of the bugs, for example, and you want to give it to your boss. I'm like, hey, here's a JQL, paste it. So you copy this, you send that over to your boss, and he can just basically go ahead and paste it here, and he will see the same thing as you did. So that's one of the good reason why you want to use JQL. The other reason is that you can actually you don't even have to do that. You can just go ahead and copy the link and send it to him. Okay, this is just basically creating a report. If you want to create a report.
Question.
Mhm.
Sorry. So the JQL and SQL, are those same thing?
They meant for similar reason, but it's not the same thing. JQL is basically JIRA, right? JIRA query language. It doesn't work anywhere other than JIRA. So, and even if you don't use it, you're fine. You're going to be fine. You can use this basic view in terms of finding issues.
Okay. So how about SQL?
SQL, you're going to learn. SQL, you will
Okay.
have dedicated class, and we're not going to talk about it here, but you will have few classes, more than few classes actually, to learn backend validation and backend testing. So we're going to cover that at that time.
Okay.
All right. And any other question, guys, before I...
Question.
Mhm.
Yes. So what was the app you just used on your computer, in your MacBook for screenshot?
Oh yeah, it's called Lightshot. I use that a lot. You can find any screenshotting tool. You can also use the actual feature from Mac. So if you do Control Shift 4, and you will be able to take screenshots. But this app is called Lightshot. So if you click on this, let me show you guys right here.
Okay.
Lightshot, yeah, just download it. You can use it at work. If you get a Mac from work, then you can use this one. But if you get Windows, obviously you have other choices like snipping tool. Any other question? I think Janet will raise hand.
Yeah, I wanted to ask for window. You just answered it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So it's like Windows comes with the snipping tool. And right, so this tool right here, you're gonna see something like this. You can take your screenshot and then you can highlight it. There is a highlight option, and you want to show exactly what the problem is when you're creating a bug. Any other question? How many people feel confident about JIRA? So if, let's say, you get hired tomorrow and I said, okay, go to the JIRA board and see what's ready for testing. How many people feel like you guys can do that?
We can do it.
Yeah, I can do that too.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's okay.
But I will end up with so many questions.
Go ahead. Let's see
Yeah.
if I can answer for
Not
you
now,
before.
yeah, not now, after I do this.
Okay. Okay. So all of you guys have access for 2 weeks. I can extend more than 2 weeks, but for learning purposes, they always give us the ability to extend more than just 2 weeks. But I would say use the 2 weeks and dive into the application, because we're not going to be back in JIRA again. The reason is because it's not that hard to use, right? This is meant, it's something that we're giving training on, but really this is something, if somebody like just navigate through, just click, they will be able to figure it out. So that's why we're not going to spend too much time with this specific tool. In my class, I'm going to probably start to teach you guys coding soon. So that's why I need everybody that is focusing in class. That's great. But those that are not focusing, I need 100% attention in those coding classes, because you're going to be lost 100% if you don't focus. So you're going to learn how to automate. You're going to learn how to control a browser and tell the browser what to do. And the browser will listen to you, and then it will do things that you want. So hopefully we will be at that point, but keep in mind that, you know, we're going to be diving more and more complex, you know, QA related tools we're going to be learning. The first thing that I mentioned today, as I'll give you guys a snapshot of this. This is our January group, right? And as you can see, somebody just got a job today, and he has another job waiting. So, and pretty much from that batch, right? So people, like, at least once a week, at least somebody getting an offer. That's, you know, that's, and then for this person, actually, he probably took 3 interviews total within like 1 week, and he got 1 offer, right? So you can probably imagine how easy it will be for you if you learn everything properly. So just focus on learning for now, and then when it comes for marketing, you'll do very well.
Okay, hope for the best.
All right, guys, have a good night. I'll talk to you guys next class.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Get the recording? Thank you.
Yeah, we have the recording. I'll share after that.
Okay, sorry, coach. I have a question before we go. Is there we also can get the emails for that? Because sometimes I don't have phone at work, but I can use my PC. So I do my homework at work, actually, basically. But
you can, you're looking for images, you're saying, or?
Oh, no, emails for the.
Oh, emails. Okay.
Yes, and for everything, actually.
Okay.
Possible.
Yeah, I'll try ask Shantabai to put these information in email, so everybody has it.
Perfect.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. I'll talk to you guys later.
Also, can you please add me to the WhatsApp group?
Just message me separately and
Sure.
I'll add you. Yeah, thank you.
I don't have your number.
No, which group are you in? Should be.
No, I'm saying I am in the DTA onboarding March 22 class or
Mhm.
group, whatever you call it.
Yeah, so
But I'm not in the actual group,
yeah,
class group, I believe.
so you can find me from